Hi, YouTube. Okay, well, this topic, as you can see about the title, is about women and men, and I guess just how they think and come to conclusions and stuff like that. Let me see if I can explain a little better. You ever heard how people say that men are logical, women are emotional? Well, I'm here right now to kind of go against that in a way. Um, I've heard this, in my day-to-day life. And I've also heard in the relationship talk group that I'm in on Facebook. And I keep hearing it. Like, I even heard one dude say, men are usually right. What? Because they're logical and women are emotional. And the thing is this. Let's get on the emotional thing right now. Let's explain something. Look at the society that we live in. I am under the belief that we do live in a male dominated society. I am under the belief that there are certain, rules and stereotypes and all kinds of things that may prohibit people from, behaving the way they would had those things not been there. With that being said, we all know the stereotype of a woman, which is that she's emotional, she's extremely feminine and giving and all those types of things, sugar, spice, and everything nice, but yet completely and utterly irrational and overly emotional. Then you have the man who's super logical and never cries because, and one thing I've noticed in this male dominated society is that anything that's associated with a woman, if a man is to do it, he's seen as lower because, the woman in general is already seen as inferior to the man. So if he takes on any characteristics that she has, he's going to be seen as inferior as well, which is why men don't, tend to take on quote unquote female characteristics, and which is why men who do take on female characteristics um, are often, ostracized. They are often, outcasted. I think ostracized and outcasted might mean the same thing. They're often, picked on and, bothered for because of it. But anyway, let's think of it like this. First of all, I do not believe that women are more emotional than men. I do not believe that women have a capability to be more emotional than men. I don't. I don't think there's anything in our genes as women that make us more likely to feel emotion than men. I believe men and women feel emotion equally. Here is the difference. Women are allowed by society to express their emotions. Men are only allowed to express emotions such as anger and happiness. The other emotions, they can't, it doesn't really they can't really express those anything else. Women can express any and all their emotions and be accepted by society. If a man wants to cry or scream or any emotion that isn't with anger or happiness, he's going to be looked at as a sissy. And the reason why I say they're allowed to be angry is because anger is seen as powerful on a man, whereas anger on a woman, it's just seen as her being petty. It's double standard once again. So with that being, and it's obvious. I mean, you've heard the whole things. Men don't cry, boys don't cry, and stuff like that. So obviously, this has been put into men's heads that a real man doesn't really show emotion. So with that being said, all we know right now is that women express emotion more than men, and that's only because they're allowed to and accept, allowed to by society. Men really are not. So I can't honestly say that I believe that women are more emotional than men, but what I do believe is that women are allowed to express their emotions more by society, and because they are allowed to do so, they do express their emotions more in society, which is why you see women, expressing a lot of emotion, and which is why people seem to think that because they see it more, that women feel more. But that may not be the case because people don't always show what they feel. And if a man's been taught that he can't always show what he feels, then he won't. That doesn't mean he doesn't feel anything, though. You catch my drift? Okay, also, I can't remember the book, but when I took my social psychology class over the fall, there was a study in it that in which they had men and women, and they did a experiment to see whether or not women were truly more emotional than men. The results, there really wasn't that big of a difference. It wasn't really big. Women were not, according to that study, shown as being more emotional than men. In fact, in some of the studies I've read, men might be a little bit more emotional. And whether people know it or not, anger does count as an emotion. But anyway, um, yeah, I'm gonna look up that book, and when I find the name of that book, I'll try to find a site that shows that study. But it's pretty valid, so. And I think I've also read another one that said the same thing. But yeah, so that's about the emotional aspect. Keep in mind that just because someone is always expressing their emotion, that does not mean that they feel more emotion than the person who doesn't express it. It just means that one person expresses it more than the other. Keep that in mind. So no, I don't believe that women are more emotional than men. Also, people tend to say that women always are making decisions from an emotional standpoint, and I don't know if that's always. I don't believe that's always true either. I don't think they do it a majority of the time. That goes up by by person basis, because for you to say that women tend to make decisions based off emotions, that would mean that women are generally more emotional, which I don't think can be proven, because you can't prove it by what you see because of the society that we live in. You have to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind of the factors that affect us. You cannot ignore these factors. Sorry. Yes. So, when it comes to the emotional thing, I think I've seen plenty of women think very clearly. Even when they do, are feeling emotions, they're still able to think very clearly. And who says that decisions always based on emotions are wrong? Now, I'm not saying you should go and, make important decisions every time you're messed up emotionally, but I'm just saying, who says that emotional based decisions are always wrong? Just saying. Okay, now about the logical thing. Men are always logical. First off, I don't obviously do not believe that men are always logical, or that they're generally any more logical than women are or can be. I do not believe that men have any sort of biological or physical aspect about them that allows them to be more logical than women, nor do I believe they have the capability to be more logical than women. I mean, they might be able to be more logical. They might have, because society is telling them always to push down their emotions and stuff, so they push down their emotions, and then of course all you got is left is logic, things that way. But I do not believe it's an inherited or like biological trait. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's something that you're just born with. Oh, you're born a man, you're logical and smart, and everything you say is right. You have to keep in mind that men are humans too. And no, I do not think that men are usually right. That sounds crazy to say that one group of people are usually right in everything because they're those people and those people are naturally logical. That sounds crazy to me. That sounds kind of illogical. Oh, because I'm a man, I'm more logical than you. It's like me saying because I'm black, I'm automatically going to be a better dancer than a white girl. Not necessarily. I just don't think it makes sense. Because here's the thing. I don't think black people, okay, I'll put it in terms of race. Like I said about me saying that I'm a better dancer because I'm black as opposed to a white girl. I don't think black people have any kind of innate or inherent ability to be good dancers. I don't think it's a biological thing. I think that varies by person by person. White girl could be a better dancer than me. There are plenty of white girls who dance better than me, and plenty of white girls who dance better than some black girls. So, so back to that, just because you're a man does not mean you're more logical than a woman. In fact, a lot of stuff I hear men say aren't logical at all. But it ain't that because they're a man they can put the logical stamp on it. Plus, the thing is, when they imply that men are more logical, that also implies that I think in a sense that men are smarter than women, and that's a natural thing, you know? And I just don't believe that. Logically, I've seen plenty of women, like I said before, in emotional situations and who were able to think logically. I've seen men in plenty of emotional situations who were not able to think logically and did not think logically. Of course, you're probably like, I'm talking about exceptions. No. What I'm saying is, I don't think the rule is as true as everybody wants to make it seem because they don't take into account the other factors. Once again, women are allowed to express their emotions. Men tend to not be. And also, think about it. Let's say a woman did say something logical. If a person truly believes that women are generally emotional and are generally not right, we have, as people, have this thing called a confirmation bias. We tend to only take in information that validates our point. A person who believes that women are emotional, illogical, irrational, and all this kind of stuff, they're going to not count the logical women they meet. They're going to not count the emotional men they meet. And they're not going to take into account that a woman can be just as logical as a man because it messes up their whole belief. Plus, if they're a man, why would you want to say, a woman can be just as logical as me? Because then that would mean that she doesn't need him to lead her. Which I think is also what that comes into play. But, yeah, I think you get my gist. And I think you get where I stand on this. I do not believe that women are any more emotional than men. Nor do I believe that men are any more logical than women. I think this really is a person by person thing, and also as far as how society affects us. Once again, be aware that society allows women to express their emotions more openly and freely, and they do not really, allow men to do the same. So you cannot say women are more emotional than men on the basis that you see it more in women and men, because just because you see women express it more does not mean that men don't feel emotion just as much. Keep that in mind. Also, women have the capability and do make rational, sound decisions every single day, despite what they're feeling. I mean, women are not crazy, and we're not as weak as society would like to paint us. People just have to be able to realize, and I think what happens with a lot of men who say this or are under this belief is that they want to be able to lead a woman. They want to be top dog. You can't be top dog. If someone is equal to you, it's gonna be kind of hard to play top dog because they're equal to you. It's like they don't really want this, they want this. And in order to have this, he must be superior to her mentally and emotionally. And she must be inferior to him mentally and emotionally. And what I'm saying is, why they may want to believe that ain't true. Also, one last thing. Sometimes women say logical things, but they may say it in a way that people take it wrong. And what I'm saying is that sometimes, because, sometimes if a woman actually, feels something about what she's speaking about, she's passionate about it, and she's speaking about what she's saying could be completely logical, but because she's saying it with passion or with emotion, they throw it away and say that it's irrational or, she's just worked up and stuff like that. People will disregard stuff. Once again, confirmation bias. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that a woman could be saying something logical or that she can lead just as well as, a man, or that she can teach as well as a man, or learn just as well as a man, or make rational sound decisions as well as a man. I'm just saying. Think on that.